Welcome back to the Daily Mantra. Today, our video is about 10 things to do for your first day of work. If you're watching this video, we'd like to first congratulate you on landing your new job. Whether it's your first job or a job switch, landing a new role is never easy. You've made it through the difficult parts. From writing the perfect resume to passing all the interviews, you've done it all. It's now time to make sure you nail your first impression on your first day of work. First things first. First impressions matter, so grooming matters. It's important to be well groomed, and that includes the most basic things. Be sure to take a shower and leave home feeling fresh and smelling nice. Today is the day to pull out your favorite perfume and spritz it on. Have neatly groomed hair. If you have long hair, tie it up in a ponytail or your favorite bun. If you have short hair, make sure you keep it styled with pomade or gel or keep it combed. Whichever is your preferred style, make sure you look presentable. It may also be tempting to put on your cutest outfit, but do take a moment to consider if that will be fit for the occasion. If you're working in a formal office building where everyone is dressed in office suits, it might not be wise to put on that bodycon dress or dress down with flip-flops. Always dress on the side of conservative. Now, if you are working remotely, focus on areas where you are visible through your camera. Make sure your hair is neat, your outfit isn't sloppy, and it would be good to also take note of your background to make sure the room you'll be taking the call in is neatened up. Even if there are background removing functions on the virtual call, there may also be glitches in between, so make sure your surroundings are presentable. Where appropriate, use company issued backgrounds. Being well groomed also means having good body language. Avoid slouching or crossing of your hands, or even putting your hands on your hips. Instead, stand tall and be confident. If handshakes are permitted, post-COVID or otherwise, keep a firm handshake and avoid swaying it too much. Be polite, smile at others, and maintain regular eye contact when speaking to someone else. This applies to everyone, from the receptionist to your boss. Make sure you respect them all equally. Now that we've nailed the basics of grooming, we want to make sure you show up looking both good and on time. While this tip speaks for itself, we have to emphasize that being late is a big no. To avoid being late, Google Maps is your best friend. Be sure to plan your route and check the estimated timings so you can walk backwards. We will also recommend attempting the route at rush hour a week before your actual start date. This is the best way to familiarize yourself with the route so you're confident of it on the actual day. This is also a great opportunity to explore the landscape. Find a cafe nearby, scout out potential lunch places, parking spots, and so on. On your first day, arrive early and check with the reception to make sure you know where your reporting room is. Reconfirm the location at which you're supposed to gather as well. And if you arrive more than 10 minutes early to the building, this is the time to visit that cafe nearby to grab a coffee and wait before reporting to the office. If you are working remotely, just ensure that you are at the virtual meeting a few minutes earlier and wait in the waiting room. Keep your mic and your video turned off so you won't be caught off guard when they let you into the meeting. We will also recommend that you prepare an elevator speech so that you can confidently and easily introduce yourself to people that you meet in the office. Some things to include are who you are, where you were before this, what your role at this company is, and what your relevant experiences to this role are. If alarm bells are ringing for you right now because this is your first full-time role, don't panic. You were hired to do this job because people trusted that you would be able to do it well. Instead, simply think back to a time when you worked on a relevant project at school or did an internship related to the industry. Alternatively, talk about why you're so passionate about the company or the job. Your finished work might sound something like this. My name is Sherry, and before joining Acme Inc., I was at XYZ Company as a designer, working on key projects like the recent brand redesign for NYC Corporation. Being there for 3 years, I felt ready to mentor other designers and grow as a leader. When the lead designer role opened up here, I jumped at the opportunity and am really lucky to have been given this chance. On your first day, you'd definitely want to come across as someone who listens to instructions well. Sometimes, your company will issue onboarding materials to read or prepare before your first day, so this is a good checkpoint to make sure you have the material and have read it. If you're expected to bring the material along with you, make sure to pack your bag the night before. It would be good to review these materials a couple of days before the actual day of your work, so if you have any questions, you can raise them to the manager or HR. Do not drop them an email on weekends and give them at least one working day to reply. Once you have received the materials, take a look at them immediately and flag out anything you might be unsure of. If you are missing the onboarding materials, raise this up as well to confirm if it would be arriving soon. A tip would be also to have notes handy to recap these materials. Don't forget to bring a pen and notebook with you too, just in case you need to take notes or jot names down. If you are expecting a company-issued device to be mailed to you, make sure it's arrived before you start or be sure to raise it up with HR. If your onboarding is remote, make sure you have all the links to the onboarding calls ahead of time with the video applications downloaded on your laptop. On the day itself, log into the meeting at least 10 to 15 minutes ahead to set up system preferences and test that your mic and speakers are working well. On your first day, or even your first week, it's best to mingle with your peers within your department or even outside of your department. This is your golden ticket to making a good impression. This is the time to get to know your colleagues on a more casual level outside of your working environment. Avoid turning down lunch with your colleagues, and even if lunch plans were not made in advance, hold off on making personal plans with your friends and make yourself readily available for your colleagues. A tip would be to prepare some conversational topics in advance that you can discuss over lunch. You can ask about their roles or their hobbies, but keep the conversations non-invasive. Draw the line appropriately. For example, don't ask if someone is married or dating. Be sure to read the room. Pull back if you feel like others are uncomfortable with the topic at hand. Your colleagues will likely ask about you too, but avoid making it all about you. Remember to reciprocate and ask them, "How about you?" A little thing you can also do is to jot quick notes from your conversations, like Ben likes skiing, he hates tomatoes. You never know when such information comes in handy, and when you remember these things, it shows you really care. Just take note. Don't do this in front of them. Listen and observe. This is the time to be a student and have a learning mindset. It is not the time to have a strong opinion for now or to discuss it. Instead, take this opportunity to observe how others feel about the goals and top priorities of the company. This is your chance to grasp the big picture and priorities of the team. Try to notice how decisions are being made so you can get along within the culture. For example, if you feel like you need structure and support but are not in such an environment, this would give you the time to prepare for it. On the contrary, if you prefer freedom and autonomy but are not in such an environment, then take this time to prepare for a shift in your mindset. After all that listening, it's counterintuitive unless you ask smart questions. Don't try too hard. At this point, you aren't trying to prove how awesome you are. Focus instead on being genuinely curious. Ask questions without challenging authority or decision making. A good way to do this is to state the reason for the question gently. This dissolves any likelihood of miscommunication. For instance, say something like, "If it's possible, I would like to come into the office slightly earlier than the working hours stated to prepare for a meeting. May I check what time the office opens and if it would be alright for me to come in 30 minutes earlier?" This leaves no room for misunderstanding. By stating your intention, the other person won't wonder why you want or need this information, or in the extreme case, think that you're being rude. Finally, do your research. Avoid asking questions that are already in the news or information that can be easily Googled online. With remote working being a norm nowadays, getting to know your colleagues better, especially if you've just started a new job, can be extremely difficult. If there are no lunches due to the remote working setup, try setting up one-to-one time with your peers online. Slack has a plugin called Donut that allows you to arrange random one-on-ones with different colleagues in your company. So if you use Slack, maybe check that out. Otherwise, feel free to go the old school way and reach out to colleagues individually. Offer to introduce yourself to colleagues you know you will be working with. You should have this information from your manager, or don't be afraid to ask. Let them know you're new and show that you're willing to learn. Be respectful and genuinely curious about their role. Where relevant, Ask them how you can support their role or how your roles might overlap and work together. Be careful not to overstep boundaries or direct orders around. Do not be too eager or overly friendly at the beginning as well. Keep it professional and come from a place of wanting to contribute and help your coworkers. And don't be offended if anyone refuses your help. They may have their own reasons, so don't take anything personally. If you are hired to be a manager, try to get to know your team and understand what challenges they are facing and how you can implement processes that would help to make it easier for the team. Don't rush to assert authority or jump in with your experiences. There is a right place and time for that, but make sure you listen first. Nothing is more distracting than the constant pinging on your phone. Unless you need to pick up calls from your clients, put them on silent, especially during meetings, both in person and virtual. Take note of your mic as well. Make sure that the mic doesn't pick up noises such as from fans blowing into it or from your breathing. Be aware of this as it can make it difficult for your colleagues to hear you. Most video applications have features that allow you to lower the background noise from being picked up, so be sure to spend some time configuring it before getting on your first call. Last but not least, always leave on a good note. At the end of the day, say goodbye to your colleagues on your way out of the office. It could be anyone, the receptionist, the cleaner, the IT guy that you've never spoken to. Just smile and say or wave goodbye. If you're working remotely or are in a team chat, let your team know that you're logging off for the day. Ping your supervisors separately to check if they might need anything else from you before you clock out for the day. If you're with your new colleagues in training, be polite and wave goodbye to everyone before hitting the leave button on your last call. Congratulations! We've come to the end of this crash course on to-dos for your first day of work. Thank you so much for listening till the end. We are confident you are going to do well. We would like to leave you with an affirmation for your first week at work. Before you start your day, or at any point during the week that you feel anxious or stressed about work, repeat this to yourself. I build meaningful relationships with my colleagues and bosses. I am inspired and encouraged in this next phase of my life. Goodbye and have a smashing first day.